I welcome you to Ran Out of Talent podcast. We can't thank you enough for checking in, taking it in, listening to the stats. Joey Fitzsimmons is the co-host. You got Joe Jr. running the show. Me, I'm a man just trying to just rip up a couple freestyles just for you, tuning in to Ran Out of Talent. But if you ever run out of talent, don't take no time, don't take anything, just get hold of Junior or Joey and talk about it. But if you the ball on top, you're gonna be
All right, how's it going, guys?
Going good like every other Sunday.
All right, with us tonight in third chair is going to be the owner of Donathan Racing, Zach Donathan. Zach, you've been on this podcast 2 or 3 times so far. This is the first time you've come on that's been a video podcast.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we just started like what do you think, like 10 episodes ago?
Something like that, yeah.
You pushed me and the MMA guys pushed me to do it, and it's like, all right, I had all the stuff. It's just getting it to work together was really difficult. I need a new laptop, and you can see I'm a little glitchy. What I need is cable that's like 100 and some feet long to run from my computer up to my modem to make it like super smooth. I'm just,
Is that an
slow.
Ethernet cable?
Yeah.
I have one.
Nah, I just am gonna buy one because I actually need probably 2 because the one in the house is gonna be permanent because there's a spot to put it in where our DirecTV came in through back in the day when we used to have that dumb thing. So yeah. Richard DeVron, our team manager, checking in for Donathan. Knutson checking in. Yeah, so how's it been going lately, Zach? You've been coming out with some new interesting products. You've been racing. You became Roar 5 regional director. So you've been, and you're a new dad. Am I correct?
Mhm.
Yep. Still trying to get to jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah, you've been a busy guy.
Yeah. So, if you don't know, I run Donathan RC full time, and that's about 50 hours a week. And on top of that, my wife and I recently had our first child, a little girl. And we don't do the whole social media thing with her. We want to let her decide if that's what she wants, especially because I kind of have like a platform, like it's more than just my friends that see this kind of stuff.
So I'm going to pause you there for a second. So when my daughter Jacqueline was about 8, she was trying to race. She was kind of getting into it, and I brought her up to a track about 2 hours away, and they're like, "Oh, I saw you on your dad's Facebook." My daughter, when she was 8, snapped at me like, "I don't want to be on that, blah blah blah," and like, so same deal. I don't post pictures of her. Joe 3 doesn't care. Anyway, continue.
Oh, that's okay. So, yeah, we just want to let her make that decision, because there's been some weird things with like kids on social media, and so yeah, so taking care of a newborn. She turned 5 months old this month, and she's starting to teeth.
Yep.
She's been a handful beyond that. So
Mhm.
doing all that, and then like Joe said, I try to do jujitsu twice a week to work out. And in my free time, I get to go race. The closest track to me now is actually Hoosier RC,
Nice.
and I race Mod Wheeler there.
Mod. I wish we had Mod up here.
It's just they let me run with the stock cars. I'm slower than the they have a bunch of fast locals there. Like
Yeah, they do.
Nick Reppin, all those guys are like a full second a lap faster than me. And so it's just kind of, I'm like, average speed with my mod wheeler, but I'm not fast. Like
Right.
Talon's way faster with my mod wheeler than I am.
Well, you're competent.
Yeah, I blown up one car. Not on purpose. It was kind of a landing because there was a triple for mod, or you could double single.
Yeah.
And we just kind of collided in the air.
Oh.
But it wasn't too bad. It was just a Marshall. But most of the time I'm not running people over or anything like that. We're just racing. Honestly, I only have an advantage in like the little short shoots because there's not like any big long straightaways. I mean, you have the front straight right now, but I'm faster maybe at the first third to half, and then we're the same speed, and then you got to slow down for the corners. So
yeah, so like yesterday, I was at the track breaking in my B7, and a local fast kid, Braden Nelson, was breaking in his B7, but it was his mod car.
Mhm.
His fast lap was a half a second faster than any stock time, but it was so easy to make a little mistake and lose a full second a lap with the mod car. It is, we've had this discussion ad nauseum on this podcast. It's like, well, at what point, is it too fast?
I mean, it's been said a lot that mod's too fast. I think mod's too fast. Alex Hagberg thinks mod's too fast. I mean, there's been a bunch of proposed ways to slow mod down.
I've heard 6.5 Blinky.
And that's the argument everyone says, but then you run into the motor war again. Like your top guys that's plenty for me. Like I'm not gonna I use a 6.5 for maybe mod touring, but for mod wheeler, like I use a 7.0, and I'm considering going down to an 8.0 just so I can tune the motor a little bit.
Right.
I can get into that, but it's so fast. I barely use it, and like I said, I'm only faster the first third to half of any long straightaway.
Okay.
And Talon drove my mod car, he went like 2 seconds a lap faster than I did, which is not great for me. But he went like a few tenths a lap faster than his stock car first time out, first pack, which is a lot because he won the Clash and it's his home track, but still you have to be quick to win.
Right. So we talked about the Clash on here, and Tom Rindernick's stock TQ two-wheel drive speed would have put him fourth in the A in modified.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It's an interesting talk. And then yesterday at Dollar, my dad was testing out his. My dad is going down to 21.5 independent. Well, most of the country is going to 21.5 for stock.
Mm-hmm.
And our quote unquote pro class is still going to be 17.5. But he had a 21.5 in his car. I was 3 to 4 tenths of a lap slower with it, but it was so much easier to drive. Unbelievably easier to drive. Just slowing it down that little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know there's been a bunch of comparison videos out there, but if you go back and look at like the mod brush motor days, the 21.5s now are faster than the modified brushed motors.
Yeah, well, I brought that up with Jeff Choban, where we have a group chat with Dollar Hobby race directors, and he's like, dude, this is so rad. And I go, it's so slow. And they were on foam tires back then.
Yeah, well, that, and they had NiCad batteries. The Lipos, you have a whole bunch of punch, and then they don't fade either.
Right.
I mean, a little, but not really.
Yeah.
A couple tenths. If you really get after it. But I don't know the right way, but I think that overall we're too fast right now. And there's no, I think another issue that I have is like there's no ascension plan. So like a lot of places don't have like even a beginner class. And
Okay.
then the air quote like novice or beginner classes have people in them that are not always, but sometimes they have people in them that are actually pretty good drivers. And I'm not talking national events. I'm talking
Right. No, I know
club.
what you're talking.
Yeah, and I mean to have that's a whole other thing too. But you know, um, I think that when you are good enough to get around the track and like start beating some of the times in like well, it depends where you are, but out of the novice class,
Yeah.
whichever next step that may be, will be a good way to transit. The race director should transition you out of that class.
Right. For sure.
But my opinion, that's how I grew up too.
Yeah. All right. Before we get into race results, Jake Schweisberger checking in. He's saying he loves the content. And am I running my B7 at Island next week? And what classes? Yeah, I'm running my B7. I'm running expert stock in 13.5. And I'm running oval on Sunday, Midwest late model. Austin's checking in. And Gary's saying smooth is usually faster than horsepower. On his track, yes. So, Zach, on Gary's oval track, and this boggles the mind with people, we turn our throttle down. Nobody's at 100%. Like a 13.5 sprint, I haven't seen you all year, let alone on the podium.
I was on the podium at the beginning of the year when I actually was
That's
able
true.
to race.
Right. But yeah, Hobby Farm though last night, speaking of them, they had their Valentine's Day race. Let's look at the couples race. Kyle Quast won that with his significant other. Laura Gatewood with her significant other took second.
Frank's significant other was Miller.
Oh, gotcha. And Matt Larson, who was with Matt Larson?
Knutson.
Oh, who's the big spoon in that? Yeah, no, I really wanted to go to the Hobby Farm yesterday, but I had to get the B7s broken in, and I needed sleep. Between Thursday night and Friday night, I got about a total of 7 hours of sleep.
No kidding.
It's just, normal life shit. Nothing bad happened. I was just exhausted when I was done testing. I was thinking about going up and running a qualifier because I saw that there was a ton of people there. But also, I forgot I had to fix my car, and I did that today. The entire front clip that holds on my nose for the Midwest mod was busted. That's how hard I got shot into the wall.
You could have just asked me. I got an extra one here.
I know. Jordan saying Jordan and Kyle are back-to-back champs. Austin saying Matt's 100% on the sprint. Knutson, he said he was 55% on his Midwest mod. But yeah, anyways, they had an awesome Valentine's Day race at the Hobby Farm. They had they had late model as well, so they're getting things going. Did you guys watch any of the round one of the INS event over in Milwaukee?
I didn't watch any of it, but I did watch Lifetime, and I was talking to Clayton and Kyle, and I do believe they're watching right now.
Okay. So the track looked awesome.
It did.
So we were talking about dryers earlier, and my dryers lost its balance. Totally. Jackie decided to throw her laundry in, so you know how teenage girls do laundry. They just stuff it absolutely full and just wreck everything. What did Clayton run? Did Clayton run mod? I know he normally runs mod when he goes to Milwaukee.
Yeah, mod, stock, and truck, I believe.
Yeah. Let's Let's see. A main. It looks like, oh man, Kyle didn't make the A for 13-5. Nate Sutherland won that, followed by Chase Raymond and Tyler Patnow. Nate Sutherland's going to be beating the living crap out of me next week at Island. That kid's like
been killing it. He really did good this in all of them. I was looking at the results because Talent said he was going there, and I knew first round of INS. Talent didn't even make the main, I don't think, in these two classes.
Well, I'm looking at these results, and holy crap, Tyler Hooks in two-wheel stock buggy finishes 8th. That is crazy. Tyler Hooks is usually, Sammy Moran ends up in the 3rd spot. He's usually in one. It was crazy. Tyler Patnow is one of those Omaha guys that are really coming up too. Mm-hmm. He's going to be one to watch. Now, where did the big guys finish here? Wow, that was all right. Whoa. It was, Spencer Rivkin. He is not old by any means. How old do you think he is? 24?
No,
I think he's 24, 24, 25.
Really?
Yeah.
He was 15-year-old. He was 15 when he won the Worlds in Japan with the B5. He was the youngest world champ. I believe he still is.
I don't know. I doubt it. We'll say too.
Well, see, when he won the world champs with the B5M, he was 15 years old then, because I remember there was a little controversy behind it because there was some kind of dumb rule that you had to be 16 to run the Worlds, and he skirted in. Yeah, Austin's saying probably him too, that Nate's going to beat him. Yeah, Austin's coming with us to Iowa we're leaving Friday. But Spencer wins it, and then you have Chase Lemieux in the number 2 spot and Ryan Cavalieri in the number 3. Ryan not doing too bad because, that was a ridiculous field because you had Spencer Rivkin in the 1, Chase Lemieux in the 2, Cavalieri in the 3, Brock Champlin in the 4, Rinderknecht in the 5, Horn in the 6, Evans in the 7, Tollard, Bada, Drayton Staub, and Gregory Tennis. A load of killers.
Something to note is that Cav beat Brock in both 2-wheel and 4-wheel mod. When Brock was doing really good last season. Yeah,
Brock's still doing fairly well, but it seems like he had a little, not a bad Worlds, but it was a little bit flat compared to where he had been. And it seems like he's still a little bit flat because I was predicting Brock to win one of the classes. And I think he ended up around that 4th position, which is phenomenal still. But he didn't have that edge that he had prior to the Worlds. But
do you think that's his new power package?
No, because the new power package didn't start until 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Maybe a month. Unless he announced his new power package then and has been running it for longer. That could be as well, too.
Right, because if you're still getting used to it and you're good with this, everything's different.
So when he switched, I explained this on here as well, but when he was at the NCTS that was in Minnesota at a track that's no longer around, he would pull away from Spencer on the infield, and Spencer would eat it all up on the straightaway and be right on his tail. Spencer had so much more power over that LRP that Brock was running. It was unreal. And Brock was pitting behind me, and he's just so frustrated and throwing everything at that stuff to get the power, which to me, it's like, I can't even barely hold on to a 13.5, and you're throwing numbers at a ESC with a 6.5 or 6.0 in your car.
Yeah, with mod, it's all about like how the power's applied. I don't, and some of it's like how you come on to the straight too, like how much speed and like the line you take as well.
Right.
Not just the power, because like in mod touring, um, everyone kind of runs the same or similar settings.
Okay.
It's just kind of it's really easy to drive. But to do it like fast, I'm beat by like Kemp and Sam down the straightaway every time, and I'm running the same stuff they are, and they're
Right.
just faster.
Right. At Dollar. I really saw that in Mod Touring Car Dollar for the Christmas Classic. I got to get the guy's name. I always forget the guy's name, but I guess he's a big touring car racer. Oh crap, I lost the track. It wasn't Snowy.
Is it Brian? Brian
Well,
Busey?
yes,
Yeah.
it was him. And the way he ran mod around that track compared to everybody else, and there were we had a full heat of mod touring car at that race. And what he was doing compared to everybody else was, because a lot of the mod guys, they were using the mod motor down the straightaway, but they were still trying to, instead of carry corner speed, they were trying to drive it like a stock car and keep it as tight as possible. And, you know, they weren't letting the car flow. And Brian was just, he was probably 2 feet wider in every corner, just apexing it differently and just lapping the entire field. It was amazing to watch.
Brian drives differently than in mod than most people, I would
Okay.
say. So that's not really normal, but it really works for him. And what I say is when somebody first starts mod, like when I was talking to Jeff, I said it should look like a mod car in the straightaways and a stock car in the infield. But that doesn't mean you drive it like a stock car.
Okay.
Actually, I ran with Brian at the lower level in Mishawaka, Indiana.
Yep.
And at the third, I don't know, one of the motive races. Level, and that was a good time. He ended up TQing, and I was able to keep. And I qualified third. I snuck my way into second. I was able to put pressure on him, and
that's cool.
And made the pass. Yeah,
that's really cool. You know, this is the first time I've seen those guys. They came for the first time to the Dollar Hobby race, and I don't think they'll be coming for the March race because we're going to get in that in a little bit. But it was different when you see. Have you've met Yari Tequila, haven't you, Zach?
Yeah. I pitted with him and roomed with him at last year's champs.
Right. So Yari lived in Minnesota from like 97 to 2010. I've known him since he moved to Minnesota from Finland. And we used to race Nitro on road together. And I would get off the driver's stand and my dad would get off the driver's stand, and he raced touring car back then. And he's just shaking his head at me. And I'm like, what? He goes, Jesus Christ. He goes, I've never seen two people run the exact same lap times and do it 100% different, because I was strapped with that car. I was reckless, but I was doing the same lap times as my old man. And he's just like, I don't get it. He goes, your car shouldn't even be in one piece right now. But yeah, that's probably the way Bussy is. I always forget that guy's name, but I remember Snowy was there too. He was he always pitted in the corner next to where the announcer's booth was, and he came and gave me a lot of crap all the time. But so let's get into Dollar Hobbies. Friday night race. They've been big all year. For a Friday night, we started 6:30. We had 72 entries, which is pretty good. We finished at 11:30. a little late. There were no delays, and it was about a minute 20 to 2 minutes in between each heat. That's just how long it takes. It was the mains were at the top level disappointing because the new carpet is coming apart on the tires and they're clogging the front tires. But yeah, we'll go through the results because it was still good racing, but you could tell the car started pushing really bad at about the 10, 12 lap mark. But Matthew Mickelson won, followed by Ethan Mickelson in 2 and Torot. That's your expert 2-wheel buggy. And then 4-wheel, it was Ethan in the 1, Matthew in the 2, and Chris Malooly in the 3.
Malooey!
So what's happening after this race, we're killing short course because they're heavy and damaging. And it's unfortunate because those guys have been working all year to build up a class. So after this race, the points for short course and intermediate stock buggy and stock truck are over. Ooh, Jason White won stock truck. Did you see that? He's got that. He got that thing so dialed. Jason White owns the Toy Boxer. He's one of the owners. I think his whole family owns that property. But so what's going to happen now, Zach? And this sucks because a lot of our expert guys are talking about not coming back just because after a couple minutes, the newest CRC carpet falls apart. It ravels up in the tires. Like I've never seen it happen before, not with the first gen of the black carpet or the second gen, but with this latest generation, it is truly weak. And it's getting like the holes it's getting from like not just off-road, it's getting holes from off-road, don't get me wrong, but from on-road races, it is it's mind-boggling. And you see a hole develop and you're like, after the race, you're like, everybody check their cars and everything's fine. It's like, why is this happening? Unfortunately, CRC has made a very, I don't know, they don't make it. They find the carpet and distribute it, I believe. Because that's the way it used to be with the gray carpet. A lot of people don't know the gray carpet back when that started back in the day. That was the same stuff that was in a late 80s, early 90s GM car. It was the same stuff. And then they've developed the black carpet. I don't know if they're having that made or if they find it and they sell it or whatever. But from what I've been reading, also with touring car, the grip has been less than par, way less than par. And I saw it firsthand at the Christmas race. Have you experienced that at all, Zach?
No, I haven't raced on this latest generation of carpet. So actually, I believe this is the 6th generation of carpet. Each time CRC brings in, I don't know how they bring it in or what, but it's like a batch. So they buy so many thousands of feet or tens of thousands or whatever.
Okay.
And then each one is different from the last. So no, I haven't. And they just came out with that. I want to say last year, maybe summertime. I know EA was the first one to do it. And I've heard of a lot of track switching as well, but having similar issues. I've also heard of CRC replacing the carpet for these tracks if it starts unraveling. I don't know if you guys have talked to them about that.
Yeah. Jeff has, and they have ghosted him, which is very unfortunate. And there were very unfortunate comments made at the Snowbirds to certain people that I've heard. It's third hand what I've heard, but it's very reliable third hand, and we can talk about it after.
I mean, you can go on RC Tech and look at the comments.
Yeah, there's those too, but these are Top Guy comments.
No, this is from Michael Hanulak.
Oh, really? See, I don't go on RC Tech anymore. I didn't know that was still a thing.
Yeah, I go and look at the Awesomatics thread because I can't help myself.
No.
Sometimes there's a few nuggets of knowledge.
Yeah.
And it's I mean essentially what he's saying is that the new generation of carpet and the tires don't work well together.
No, they don't. And it's because last year we raced on, it had to have been generation 1 or generation 2 carpet. It was like 2018 carpet, okay? And that held together just fine for off-road. The carpet didn't clog up the tires. Like, you seriously grab a string, it like your tires grab it and then spool up and clog.
Mm-hmm.
It's nuts. I've never seen anything like it before. So because of that, a lot of guys aren't, they're gonna maybe try to finish out the season, but I've been hearing they're like, Jeff puts in a great layout and I do a great job running the show, but they're like, when it comes main time, they can't actually race. It's survival because your car stops steering. Like, not just a little bit, like it feels like your car is broken. It's that severe. What's very disappointing to me is it's obvious that they did not test this batch. You know, you think they would have put it through the ringer a little bit. But RC racers and RC track owners are innovative. This can't be it. This can't be our only option. You know what I mean?
There's other carpets out there that work fine. They're just not the black rug. It's just they're different.
Yeah. Well, if they're different but consistent and they don't do anything weird, there's nothing wrong with it. I think everybody needs to start looking into that stuff because, man, I'll tell you what, Zach, Jeff worked hard into getting the brothers, the twin brothers own the own dollar, so we all just call them the brothers. He worked hard into getting them to foot the bill for new carpet, and then it hasn't even been an entire season, and it's thin and it's terrible. It's very unfortunate. I don't know. I don't know how CRC is going to make this one right. I don't. Because, you know, that's a lot of money. No matter which way you look at it, it's a lot of money to refund. And let's say you find something better and sell it at cost to the tracks that bought the newest stuff. If you sell something at cost, you're still losing money.
I mean, I think they go one step further and they, I don't know if they source a different carpet or if they get another batch in and test it. But they need to replace all this current carpet. And I think that's the way they gain the tracks and the people's trust back. Because, right. I mean, that's, you know, you got to stand behind your product. And if you didn't test it, and they probably didn't. I don't know if they did or didn't. I can't speculate.
I mean, the way you test you're with your company, the way you test things, like with just a simple sensor wire, I remember you sending me 2 or 3 different ones to try. And you're like, which one do you like better? Go A, B, and C. And that was just a sensor wire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you're a very diligent person that tries to do everything the best that you can.
Well, I think we're looking at 2 different type of people, or maybe 4, but certainly I would not equate them to the same standards that I would uphold my company to. And it's a tough, nut to swallow, however you want to phrase it. But it's, I mean, so I had some bad 4 mil connectors, and when I measured them, they were slightly over tolerance. I thought they were acceptable. Turns out that the manufacturers of batteries and chargers don't check the tolerances on their parts, or they just order whatever and then they just put them in. I don't know. And some of the chargers with the smaller connectors, 4 mil female connectors, my 4 mil males that were too big or manufactured incorrectly, wouldn't fit.
Okay.
They didn't collapse enough. And so I end up putting out an exchange program. So, for example, because I thought they were okay, but they weren't. And then since I threw away about 1,500 of those connectors, which is,
that's a good
lot.
chunk of change.
Right. But it's, I replaced some people didn't have any problems at all. Some people did. But I replaced all the ones that wanted to be replaced. And I don't know what else to do. If something does get through your process and you think, well, maybe it's good enough, then if it's not good enough and everyone's saying it's not good enough, not one track, not one person, then I think you need to step up and save your company's reputation.
Right.
And uphold and really bolster it too, because if you stand behind your product when something goes bad, you have a lot of people cheerlead for you. I don't know how else to phrase it.
Yeah, no, it's you've done very well with your company. There we go. That was a weird button I just hit. But anyway, what I know is, let's say with your charger leads, I should buy them more often, but I don't have to. I'm going to have to buy the new charger soon. So I'm going to have to upgrade to the 458?
Well, it depends which one you want, but there's a 456, a 458, and they're coming out with a 4512.
I want a 458.
That's the blue one.
Yeah. So the thing is, my wheel stopped working. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still on my good charger channels. But then yesterday, all of a sudden I hear somebody's just hitting the start button. It's just going beep, 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 beep. I'm look around. I'm like, whose charger is that? I look, it's mine.
Mm-mm.
It's still charging just fine. But I'm like, this is getting to the point to where it's getting sketchy.
Well, they do sell, it's one of two things, hopefully, and they're both kind of cheap. You can get a replacement ribbon cable from the charger to the button controller, and then you can also get a button controller as well.
Okay.
And they're pretty easy to replace.
Yeah. Brad Sandvig did the screen for me a couple years ago, and it was super easy.
Yeah.
All right. So I got a few notes here. Austin, he goes, check my PMs. He says, he should talk about Bowman for the carpet he's got. So that was the carpet that is at Thunder Road that was so worn down that there were holes in it, like holes from being worn down. So notes, we talked about the CRC carpet. We don't need to go any harder, but I would like to, because I'm truly upset about it for the track owners, because as we all know, racing does not make money. Well, it can, but the margins on a track are very slim.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, go for it. So Joey, you're still here.
Yep.
But it's one of those things to where a track puts $10,000 into carpet And it's not like they got that kind of cash floating around 100% of the time.
Right.
So, did you go racing last night, Joey?
No, I was kind of planning on it, and then right as I was getting ready to leave work, my boss come up to me and said, "Hey, I got some work for you tomorrow if you want to come in and make a couple extra bucks." I'm like, "All right."
Yeah, you got to make the bucks. You do. Friday at work. So I'm in the office.
Good news.
Yeah.
I'm switching to day shift.
Oh, that is good news. Because we're supposed to sleep at night and we're supposed to work in the day.
True.
Human nature.
Yep.
So a guy comes really late. I'm an office guy now, but it doesn't matter. He's like, "Oh, could you load my truck for me?" I'm like, "Yeah, no big deal. We'll just do that, and I'll help him out and whatever." And he's taking a trip to Texas, and he's like, "Oh, this is my first day." I'm like, "Oh, first day with your company?" "No, first day ever." I'm like, "There's a 50% chance that this load's going to make it down to Texas." There's, oh my. It's like, there's very low. It's like, good luck, buddy. Lance Parker's wondering, why did they do SCT mod at Dollar Hobbies? Why were they not 13.5 from the start? He said he felt that was a big thing that hurt the carpet and that they were mod. Because that's just what they decided. And when they decided to run mod short course last year, this was not an issue. And I'm fine with people wanting to run mod, except for, well, so yesterday I was testing at Dollar, and every 10 laps I would pull over and pull literally a handful of fuzz out of my tires and then put it down and run 10 more laps. And yeah, it would. But anyway, Nada Dawkin. So we talked about Nada Dawkin last time. She had some incident at the round prior at the Techno Series at the Hobbyplex, fell and hit her head. She's now stable enough to fly to the Mayo Clinic and start a rehab, so that's a good thing.
Yes, very good thing.
Yeah, did you guys see the new Agama two-wheel drive prototype with the inboard shocks like an old Predator?
Yeah.
That thing's pretty rad.
Did you see the other one? I don't remember.
MC something. MC. I know what you're saying. So are you talking the wheeler where the shocks are actually laying flat in the chassis?
Yeah.
That is so cool. I don't know if it works, but it's so cool. It's very important that companies continue, although it might, let's be real, it's unlikely it'll be successful. But if companies continue to keep doing things like this, we'll end up with a suspension system that's revolutionary like the Awesomatics. It's not like the Awesome, because that won't work in off-road, but they'll figure out a revolutionary design for off-road.
Why won't it work in off-road? If you make the travel more,
yeah,
you just need a bigger dampener so it can rotate further.
Right. I suppose. Yeah, Jeremiah. Yeah. No, yeah, you're right. And I would love somebody to try it. Jeremiah's saying the Wheelers MRO Racing. Yeah, that thing's super cool. And there's a whole bunch of new cars at the EOS. Some company came back from the dead. They had a car like 15 years ago, and they came back from the dead at the EOS. No, it was the A-scale race in Europe. I know the EOS is indoor. It's whatever they have for A-scale that's similar. Corrali had a car, an A-scale car. It was really neat. It's like there were like 3 or 4 new, way different cars. Knutson saying you need a DRC car.
No. No, I'll let the manufacturers of cars do that. There's more than enough of them. If they can't figure it out, then I certainly don't need to be in there.
Yeah. We haven't been talking about it too much on here, but pretty soon the Icebreaker, I want to say it's the first weekend of March at Dollar. It's I'm looking for it and I'm not finding it because people clog up the Dollar Hobbies Facebook page with for sale posts. It's very aggravating. But really, it's going to be similar to the Christmas Classic, except we are not running a heat Friday night, but it's going to be a good time. Here we go. It's going to be March 1st through 3rd, and it's your standard on-road classes. I'm going to be the race director. Yeah, it's going to be a good time. And it'll be good. 25.5 and 21.5 touring car did look good on it, but it seemed like that 21.5 got a little too edgy. It really did. Is 25.5 getting big where you race on road, Zach?
Yeah, I think Von Perry started it. And he's so Von is in a local in Ohio.
Okay.
I live in Louisville, but most of Louisville, Kentucky, most of the racing I do is in Indiana. For, on road right now.
Yep.
So those guys cross. I mean, we're a couple hours apart for most of those tracks. So
yeah,
most of these guys race with each other. So yeah, it's getting there. It's kind of mixed, like when I don't remember if you remember this or not, but when touring car was switching from 21.5 from 17.5.
Yeah. I remember when they're still trying to run 13.5.
Yeah, like 13.5 for, I think now that they're slow enough, the like super stock at these big races like Snowbirds could be, if they go to 25.5, could be 2 turns faster, like a 17.5.
Right.
Because those, I mean, if you beat a super stock touring car in your mod car, you're pretty good. You're doing good.
Right. Knutson has a question for you, Zach. He has a set of charger cables that he needs the ends changed out for different ends. Can he send them to you?
So it depends. So we do offer that service, but it depends on what needs to be done. So there are 2 types of balance extensions in the cables for 2S. And if you have to switch the balance extensions, it's cheaper to just buy a new cable.
Right.
Because of the time it takes to switch them out and all the parts and whatnot. If let's say you have a 4 to 5 mil connector and you want to switch to a 5 mil, or if you have an XT90 connector and you want to go to a QS8, yeah, no problem at all with that kind of thing. If anybody needs any of that kind of stuff done, we do offer it as a service as DRC, not the shameless plug. But yeah, so Ryan, just get a hold of us at Donathen RC. It's DONATHENRC on Facebook. Yeah, Joe, we got to get you one of these nice new shirts.
I know, I got to get one. Every time I go to order more RC shirts, I'm like, that's a set of tires.
For what?
For what?
Yeah.
So let's say dude, I could get a set of rear carpet tires for the cost of a shirt.
We're buying different tires, man. I wish.
Yeah, I do have a J-Con deal.
Okay. See, so if you don't run off-road clay,
yeah,
I don't know how much it is, but if you run off-road clay, it's like $100 retail a set of tires.
Well, a set of tires,
2 race days.
Yes. So a set of tires is, if you're to buy retail, a set of 10 scale 2-wheel drive buggy tires is $4 cheaper than a set of A-scale buggy tires. That is nuts. So Ryan's saying it's bullets to a X60.
He probably means XT16. And if
Yeah.
it's on the Charger side, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
Charger side connectors are easy to do.
Yeah. Austin's saying J-Con for the win. Yeah. You know, I've been happy with them. It's, you know, it is, and we've all been sponsored by different companies, and sometimes it's hard to stay with the company, but J Concepts, it has not been hard because they've had a tire that works almost everywhere. What else? I only have, did you see Mod came out with the new, I know you guys aren't fifth scale guys, but I'm totally geeking out over their new fifth scale body. So what it is, it's called the Everlast body. And, you know, Joey, you're good at this, and I still haven't figured out how to do this. Can you bring up Mod Speed Shop, go to their fifth scale section, and bring up the Everlast body?
Yes.
Thank you. Because it's aerodynamically correct, and it's not Lexan. Because Lexan bodies do not last long in fifth scale at all. And so get this, Zach. A new Losi body. The Losi bodies work well, but they're Lexan. A new Losi body, a clear one, costs $310.
What?
And yeah.
These are the Everlast body?
Yeah. And they last for half a season. So what I did was I found this 30-degree north body that's made out of like tote plastic, like Rubbermaid plastic. And it was $150, but I had to cut it up in such a way that it was aerodynamically correct. And then it really didn't protect much. But here, we're going to add it right here. There, that's the one I ordered, the green one. Yeah, that is aerodynamically correct, and it's made out of good plastic. And the price tag for an Everlast body is $250, which it's a lot of money, but if you can get a few years out of it, I have no issue spending the cash. Because, you know, fifth scale stuff is expensive.
Yeah,
all right.
I mean, it's a lot of material, but it's, I spend, you know, in an average year, probably $250 in touring car bodies.
Yeah. Sweet. Thank you, Joey. I appreciate you doing that. Now we're all jumbled up weird. we were 3 wide. There we go.
All right.
Joe Garcia saying those 5T Lexan bodies are a beast to paint. Yeah, I can even imagine trying to paint one. Yari painted a fifth scale touring car body, and he said he put it over him and started painting like that. Like he put it on like a hat. Yeah, I was geeking out over that all week because after this Iowa race, I'm going to start getting ready for Silver State again for the fifth scale. And I'm not going to break out of every dang race. That was the most frustrating race weekend I ever had. I broke out of every single open race, and I barely backed into the A in 40 plus when I took the top seed. So that's the kind of weekend I had. A lot of those things aren't going to be happening. It's
a driver or a mechanic issue.
It was so you used to race A-scale buggies back when you really had to prep them, right?
Yeah, I raced on loose, loamy dirt.
Yeah, times that by 10. Things need to be like perfect. Like, so it was the D or the E main. That's what I was in for open. It's like, all right, I'll play alphabet soup with the truck. I blast past the field immediately. And on the third lap, I'm taking a right-hand corner into the rhythm section, and my right rear just collapses. An arm just gave out. I don't know why. I don't know. I ain't do anything. It's one of those things that I learned a lot at that race, and it was frustrating.
Well, I don't know all those scenarios. It's not the that wreck that actually does it or whatever. It's the 500 before that, and then it was probably suspect on the bench and they didn't notice it. I've been guilty of that.
Yeah, it could be. That's one other thing about Fiskale. It could have been the rutted track that ripped apart that rear arm, because the tracks, it's a different kind of rut. It's actually kind of cool. But I guess they keep the plastic front arms but they run this certain aluminum rear arm that I had no idea that they all run. So, but that was just one scenario where it broke. Another scenario, the $850 motor sucked dirt. That was not pleasant, but it sucked dirt. I'm super happy because it destroyed the carburetor. Like, it just blew apart the carburetor, but it didn't go into the actual motor. So that was lucky, but that was one of the scenarios. Yeah, man. So yeah. I finally tested out the B7 yesterday. Joe 3 built 60% of his. I built the shocks and the turnbuckles because he was in school and I had to finish the cars. I took a day off to do it. The car is excellent. I've never had a car that steers that much and that smoothly. So with every car previous on a carpet track, when you're going around to 180, there's that middle point of the corner. You can barely see it, but you see it, where the car like almost stops. It's like a hitch. It's just like and then you go. The B7 does not do that. One thing it does do, though, it has a 5-gear transmission, and that is going to be rough with stock. It does eat power. I put on a slipper eliminator, and that helped out a ton, but I still can't quite get out. I can't get out of the hole the way I could with the 3-gear transmission with the B6.4. I'm still going to rip that B7 though, because everything else on the car was great. It came ridiculously. I bought the carpet version. It came ridiculously soft out of the factory. Like, they put, it's like 2 or 3 steps too soft to rear springs on it. But it is what that part is. What it is. It was silly, but the car was excellent. They're having a couple guys are having issues. I've been seeing on the forum boards now. I doubt you guys are on the B7 forum boards, but they have narrow rear pivot blocks and a narrow front bulkhead and longer arms.
Mm-hmm.
People are tearing up the C block. And I don't know, like, they're ripping the pill out of the C block the hard way.
Huh.
And so I went and measured. The walls are the same thickness on the B6.4D as they are on the B64D, whatever. That's the same C block as it is to the B7. But I think that extra leverage with that longer rear arm and that narrow pivot's really, really making that pill. That might be something that they need to look at. Put thicker walls on that C block. Oh, he's saying, or the pin. Yeah, Ryan. Pins rip out of pills. I've had pills break on almost every car I've had. And when I get off the track and I see it's a busted pill and nothing else, it's almost a relief. So
I mean, the other option's going to a direct mounted arm to the chassis, but then with the off-road cars, you're probably going to start destroying arms.
Yeah. I saw a busted arm yesterday on the outside part of the arm. One thing I did see, though, is that KPI steering setup, the C-hub and the knuckle and all that stuff, it does work on a B64 arm. So if you guys don't want to make 100% commitment, but you want that KPI steering, it's legit. So hopefully next week I can make something happen with it. I don't have anything else really for notes, which is unfortunate. Do you guys have anything?
You already know what I'm going to say.
What are you going to say?
Oval, man.
Yeah, I'm excited. Dude, I'm so excited next week to go run on that big oval. You know, Zach, that's one faction of RC I never thought I would get into is oval. And I'm getting into it, and now I want a sprint car.
Clayton's got one for sale.
I know he does, but it's not in the budget. Because like I said, fifth scale. Knutson said, I've seen a couple guys avoid ovaling out the new arm after the first run. Maybe I don't run the plastic because it's counterintuitive when you run on carpet to run plastic because there's too much flex and all that. I run the carbon stuff, and I did not have that issue yesterday. I counted the laps. I put about 300 laps on the car yesterday just to get the drivetrain free and get it all broken in and all that stuff.
How long were you there?
5 hours. I ran 6 batteries, 50 laps a pack.
I suppose that's not so bad then.
Yeah. No, not at like one single shot. But what's nuts, so on my last run, you go out and you make changes every run. My fast lap was like a 10.7. My last lap, my 50th lap, was a 10.8. And my battery was at 7.5 volts. So it's consistent. I have questions. Matt Del Judas just wanted to thank Zach for sponsoring the Motive Midwest All-Star Carpet Series. He said he had the latest event yesterday with 74 guys with 124 entries in Batavia, Illinois. What is that? How you say that? Batavia?
Batavia, yeah.
Batavia. That's rad. I'm so happy that on-road's like popular out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm glad it is too, because it's not in Kentucky.
Yeah.
There's about 5 of us in Kentucky.
It's alive in Minnesota, and I'm not even gonna. We have a solid group in Minnesota, but we're not getting 74 individual guys. Might get 50 at most.
I haven't looked at it, but I would bet that half of those are like GT12.
Yeah, well, VTA is pretty good too. Oh, are you talking in Batavia?
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of touring car guys are kind of going away. Well, I don't know what carpet they have there. Austin's saying my two-wheel drive setup still isn't right, Joe. I'm in the same boat. It's consistent, but doesn't feel right. Yeah, we got to work on it because we're going to the race on Friday. Jeremiah says, what is the state of 12-scale racing these days? Guess there's a Spec 12 class that's running at MMR next Sunday. Someone is trying to talk me into buying a used car and running. That is a GT12 class, and they're easy to drive. It's a little more difficult to be fast with them, but you have to be at a 98% or better consistency clip with them. Like if you need one Marshall, you're not going to catch back up to the lead group. You will not. Have you messed with the GT12s at all, Zach?
That's one of the only classes I haven't raced, and I will not be racing it because it is not mod.
It's the opposite of mod.
And that's great. And I think I go back to the Ascension thing. People that could competently wheel a mod car around the track probably should not be racing that.
Right.
The same reason that I abstain from running Euro Truck, even though it's probably the most fun I've had besides mod touring.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the looking at the Batavia results, actually, all of their classes are not all. A lot of their classes are the slower classes. They had 5 heats of BTA,
Wow.
3 heats of TT class, which I think is the Tamiya chassis.
TT02, you think?
What's that?
Is it the TT02 chassis they use?
I don't know. It just says Tamiya. Oh wait, went past it. Tamiya TT. I don't know what that means. It might be a TT02, TT01. I don't know. It's probably it could be. They're great for like spec racing, especially if you don't mess with them. And then they had 3 heats of GT12. So mostly the slower classes there, which is great. Nothing against the class speed affecting that, but I think that's kind of where like it's reasonable to drive, and you don't have a bunch of people like myself running those classes that ruin it for the people putting them, 20 laps down or something. They have a bunch of them too, so you can race against people your speed. Like I think it's great. That's what I think on-road was missing for a little while is an Ascension. I think off-road has this weird thing that's like too much. There's like too much of Ascension.
So unfortunately, independent and intermediates going down to 21.5. So I just had to pick up a 21.5 for Joe 3's 2-wheel. It's like, all right, he's going to be ticked off because I put a quicker he blew up his motor in his wheeler, and I only had a quick motor. It was I had to switch to all Reedy products this year, which is not bad at all because their new motors are pretty good. What did you say, Joe?
Nothing. I was just reading something.
Yeah. But anyway, I put my 13.5 from last year in his wheeler. He's like, oh my God, it's so fast. I love it so much. So he's going to be upset that his 2-wheel is going to be significantly slower. Jeremiah saying, but anyway, so Jeremiah, the GT12, that would be a great way for you to get into on-road because Jeremiah is a once in a while racer.
Yeah. I know Scott Jakes is doing the Club Race Hero, which is a 3D printed car, and it's working really good.
It is.
And then, those tires he does last forever. And so it's pretty affordable. It's a spec motor. So you don't have to worry about motor of the week stuff. You get a good battery, do a little setup, and just drive it.
Yeah. Knutson saying we have some of the best off-road and oval racing in the Midwest. That we do. Jeremiah saying sounds like there's going to be some Tamiya parking lot racing this summer in the cities. That'll be awesome. I would love to have a car to run in a parking lot. I did a parking lot race last summer. First time in like 25 years doing a parking lot race. And I absolutely destroyed the chassis of my 2-wheel drive car.
Joe, you have a brand new B7. It would be perfect for the car.
Yeah. So I want a B7 in a waffle, and I might have a B7 street stock. No, I don't think it will be. I think that'll be my AstroTurf car, and I'm going to make my B64 into a street stock. Or that's a street stock that's the B64 is the one with the dinged up chassis. That could become a parking lot racer. It already was in the parking lot once. So AJ's saying he's gonna have some powered island. Yeah. Austin was trying to make Tekin stuff fast. That doesn't.
I heard good things about it.
We'll talk, but no. Chris Doze was wondering, he goes, you mentioned, because I said in the announcements, and Chris is one of the guys getting the shaft because we're killing the short course class, and he is one of the short course guys. He's saying, you mentioned at Dollar a name to write to about SCTs. Can you give me that name again? I will definitely take the time to do that. And I did. And I said, don't be a jerk. I said, be respectful, but tell them what is happening and how it has affected your racing. And that those people are Frank and Mark Calandra or CRC Racing, but I don't know how much they're on CRC Racing. But yeah, be respectful. You can let a company know in a respectful way. Austin saying, Zach, sorry, but Tekin, they
are in on-road.
Oh, they are in on-road. Yeah, we're trying to make them an off-road, so they got to be like high torque. We're looking for Are you guys still? So I ran on-road up until 2019, and we had our fast guys. It wasn't motor of the week, it was rotor of the week. Are you going to go with the high torque? Are you going to go with the high RPM? What width rotor are you going to go with? What are you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It's highly track dependent. Okay. And if you're not doing that in off-road and you're racing like open motor, something, you're missing it too. So it's highly track and track layout. So go from tight technical layout to an open flowy layout. Like your rotor should probably change, not always, but at least your gearing and
gearing change.
Well, if you have your timing set correctly, it won't need to change. But unless you change your rotor, which is a whole different thing. But I don't know, Joe. I run mod. Great. You know, the last time I bought a mod motor, well, that's not true. I bought another one for the wheeler, but I don't know how old my mod motor is, and I don't care because it's fast. It's so fast. The timing's at 23 degrees.
Yeah, I miss running something mod.
More power, great. We'll just turn the timing up.
It's so hard in carpet off-road, and when we did have a clay track, Joey, do you remember us trying to run mod at the 510?
It was a chore.
Well, we ran mod, and we had a class of it. We had like 6 guys, and then the week after we had 4 guys, and then the week after it was dead, just because it was that little bit harder.
If you don't know, if you don't have one person who knows what to do in mod to kind of solidify the group, and you're all learning together, it takes a long time.
So, I was telling people about their ESC settings and not numb the car, but to, take.
Neuter it. If this is the first time you're running mod, neuter it. And just don't go full throttle. Turn the timing and the motor all the way down. If 12.3 rotor, no 12.5, no boost. Take the turbo out, just run the motor like slow because it's going to be way faster than your 17.5.
Right.
But even then, it's not like, then you still got to do the rest of the settings in the ESC.
Right.
And it's a lot to it, but it's all, not all, but a lot of it's in the ESC. If you don't know, in mod, the ESC is as important of a tuning tool as your setup is on a car.
Yeah. It is, absolutely. That's one of the go-to things because, with my car, with my off-road cars, you set the timing, you you set it to the amp draw is what we do. So you want to keep it under X amp draw, whatever. And there's a couple other little things we look at, obviously, but keep it simple. So my timing's set, and I swear I play with throttle frequency or drive frequency and punch more than other things on the setup, because it's like I'm confident in my chassis setup, but I'm either blowing this corner by 6 feet or I'm doing this. It's a lot. But anyway, AJ said they tried running mod at Thunder Road, and that's a track that did have the size and nobody wanted to run it.
You need somebody to give. Not everybody is going to want to run mod, because some people want to run stock, and that's okay. Like, I don't run them on 12 scale, but some people do, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And so it's not for everybody, but you need somebody to kind of build the class locally, that likes running mod. Like here in the Midwest, mod touring is not like big, but I could go to almost any track and have 4 guys to race with.
Nice.
And that's not great, but that's 5 of us on the track, and if the track isn't ginormous, that's too much. Like, that's enough, because you can have a little discrepancy in talent or speed, and you get lapped 3-4 times in a 5-minute race. That's a lot of time to be putting down.
It's an ego killer a little bit.
Good. Check the ego at the door.
No, you're right. Well, both you and I, I'm sure you've been tapped out by a woman as well, and
dude, I get tapped out by kids. We have this black belt lady. Well, we got a bunch of them, but we got this one lady, and she beat my ass for like 7 minutes, whatever the roll was. And then you roll with these kids that are like 16 years old, and they look like me, but they understand jiu-jitsu so much better. But that's why, like, at jiu-jitsu, like, one of the first things hopefully you go with somebody but if you don't, one of the first things that you're going to learn is that you check your ego at the door, because if you bring it in with you, it's going to get hurt a lot. And then you're probably not going to want to come back because you're not in the right mindset.
So have you ever seen anybody like rage quit jiu-jitsu and run out the door and never see him again?
Yeah, I've seen people get mad at like the person they're rolling with and like try to actually fight them and lose. They'll just like take them down, and then the person's scrambling to get back up, and then they run away.
Yeah, they do. It's one of the most fun things. Some people can't let it go, but anyways, and you should have. I've been trying to take that since I started jiu-jitsu. I've been trying to take that same mentality to the track, but also keeping a competitive edge, and it can be difficult.
That's why I leave. So the only thing I allow myself to really be competitive in and like dive into, because I'm a very competitive person, is racing at the on-road racing, specifically modified touring. When I go off-road racing, I'm not going there to win. I'm not going there to do anything. I'm going there to get some track time, hang out with some friends, just enjoy myself, or try to. It's kind of hard. When I go to jiu-jitsu, I have a list of things to do there. Workout, seconds to beat the demons down, check my ego, and the third is to learn jiu-jitsu. It's not even in the top. Competitive jiu-jitsu is not existent for Zach, because I don't have any more time to donate to do it.
Exactly.
We all know how to get good at something because we're all decent racers, and it's time, quality time. You got to put in that effort to get in to be good at something. And if you want to be better at something, you need to put in the time, and you need to do it the right way. And it's hard.
So my gym has started a 6 a.m. jiu-jitsu class. So that does not cut into family time. And I can go to that and make it to work on time. What's really difficult is it's a different class and it's a different workout. And it's like, all right, I have to walk to shipping. Don't get Bambi legs. Don't stumble. Don't. Because what it is, it's not like normal jiu-jitsu class. Like this guy, our instructor, I love him to death. He was on the MMA podcast last time. He works us to death. So it's all right for this. He puts on, I don't know why, because he just finds it hilarious for some reason, but he puts on divorced dad rock. Like he puts on like, you know, Nickelback.
So I have to use the bathroom. I will be right back.
Go for it. Go for it. So, anyways, yeah. Joey, are you planning on racing anytime? Or are you still
I'm hoping to.
Are you still trying to figure out things?
Yeah.
I got you.
I'm trying to fit racing in though, but
yeah.
The more I can work, the more money I can make.
Yep. Jeremiah saying 5-finger death punch. Yeah, the divorced dad rock. It's ridiculous. We'll get into another question here. Should we wait for Zach or get into another question?
We can do another one, huh?
We'll get into a quick local one. He goes, how many tracks this year are going to run fifth scale dirt bikes besides Southern at Minnesota RC Raceway? FTR is allowing us to run fifth scale again. And I'm sure if you had a class of 5, he would let you run dirt bikes. You know what? And we've talked about this before, but the Party Crashers, Chris from Party Crashers, Austin goes, Zach's probably changing his shirt again. He better, I don't know. But Chris from Party Crashers put his ice wheels on a dirt bike, and that's best I've seen one. They look the best on the ice. It's ridiculous. They look the way you would want them to handle. So anyways, but anyways, Zach, what I said about that 6 a.m. class, what we do is like you start from bottom side control and you're there for the entire song. And your goal is to submit the person on top, sweep them, or get onto your feet. Getting to guard is not successful. So that's, just what we do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Huh?
Situational roles.
Yes. Like this, well, a few of us are going to try to go to the World's Masters this year in September. I'm going to do a couple local tournaments and I'm going to try the 185-pound class because I've put on about 20 pounds and I could lose 5. I feel really good at 185 pounds. Like, I still almost have the same speed as I did at 170, but I can move people. So
I know the feeling.
Yeah. Let's see here. Here's a question that all of us have had opinions on. Mike Luplo is wondering this, but he doesn't have Facebook. So my buddy asked me this. Pat asks this one. He goes, qualifying sessions tend to be 4 minutes in length. The race is 6 minutes. No other forms of races use 2 separate 2/3 of racing length to qualify for the main event. If qualifying was reduced to 2 minutes, a 13-minute program would be reduced, or a 13-heat program would be reduced by 52 minutes. A shorter program, particularly on weeknights, would be especially beneficial for young drivers who the sport needs to grow. He goes, is 2 minutes sufficient enough time? 2 rounds of 2-minute qualifiers. Well, it is an oval.
No. No. a lot of the racing really doesn't even start until 4 minutes in, and most of the places are 5 minutes qualifier, 5 minutes
Yeah.
Mains, with the exception sometimes you get a little bit longer mains.
Yeah.
But most of the time it's 5 minutes, 5 minutes.
So
And-
I had to shorten it so people are out of there before midnight. My goal is to get the group out before midnight. So that's what he was, so we're at 4-minute qualifiers, 6-minute A mains, 5-minute lower mains.
Oh, I see. I think that's okay, honestly. It's not, if you want to be out of there sooner, then get your butt on track sooner. Get out to your marshal spot sooner.
They did a fantastic job on Friday. Usually as a race director, I'm yelling at guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like 2 or 3 times around, and that equals 5-6 minutes around, 7 minutes around. But they were pretty darn good on Friday. I was super stoked. But yeah, just last way, and we've beaten this to death, but it's like, how do you shorten the qualifying, but to keep it fair and to keep it accurate and still have a decent length main?
I mean, I think we need a different style of racing, but I don't know what that is. This is kind of what we adopted and what we grew up with, but it's not necessarily like the best.
Right.
Clayton Young, the Aurora president, has talked about some kind of different format, and I'd be interested in trying something. It doesn't have to be like a permanent thing, but to try to do something, and then, the track time is hard. Generally the better you are, the more track time you're going to have, and the only way to get better is to get more track time. So it's kind of like a catch-22.
Right.
But that's with like anything. You want to be, you want more play time in basketball. Well, you got to be good at basketball.
Right.
Yeah,
Gary's saying he had explained yesterday marshalling issues. If you have to wait 2 minutes for 60 races, because I think they had like 72 total races yesterday overall, the whole race night. That's 2 hours of wasted time.
Well, you could start docking laps.
Yeah, but dude, I've done that. I don't like. So as a guy who trains daily, real life physical confrontation scares the hell out of me, because a lot of bad things can happen. A lot of bad, and when you dock a lap, you're gonna have pretty close.
You're gonna get people's attention.
You are, and I've done that before, and I've almost gotten into fistfights over it.
I mean, we're all grown men at the RC track. And I do think it is a sport. I don't think it's, some people have it as a hobby, but I think it's a sport. You could play football as a sport, or excuse me, as a hobby, but it is a sport. Like, we're not super physical about it. But that's my opinion. And, people get emotional about it, but also, hey, I don't want to be here until 1 a.m. because you guys want to dick around and do whatever. That's not, I'm out here generally before, like, if you got done racing, put your stuff down at the track, because most of them have a rack or a rail or a basket or something. Don't go back to your pit. Go out to your spot. The guys that are getting ready, once the marshals are out there, get your warm-up lap, 2 laps in, and we're going to start. And I think, like a lot of places do, like 2 minutes is enough time. And if 2 minutes at Hoosier RC Hobbyplex, which you have to walk up this giant driver stand and go out to this ginormous track, 2 minutes is more than enough time to get your butt down that driver stand, put your stuff in the basket, get out to a bucket.
Right. With oval, we're firing them off at 45 seconds in between, and at dollar, I'm at about 90 seconds.
I started that shit.
Yeah.
And it works out perfectly.
It does, because everybody gets about 6 warm-up laps, and yeah, it's good.
It makes it makes it go pretty smooth. You're normally out of there about 8:30, 9 o'clock, as long as everybody cooperates.
Yeah.
And you
Gary,
can also do, reduced heats too.
Right.
You do 2 qualifiers instead of 3.
Yeah, we do at dollar. It's just it is what it is. You know what I mean? The format we do now. Now I've flirted with the idea because round 1, we restored after round 1. So I flirted with the idea of making round 1 2-minute races and having them a seeding round. And then round 2 being the actual qualifying round. But the problem there is if somebody breaks, they can't, you know what I mean? They're starting in literally the F main because we go down that far sometimes.
Well, it sucks to break.
It does.
There. I don't know. If you do all points, it doesn't help your case either. So
nope.
I mean, Rocket Round's the only one that does that.
Right. Gary sent me a message saying he's working on a 4-race series once a month oval between Hobby Farm and Hibbing this summer. He said 5 classes so far, so keep your eye up for that. And then Cam is also wondering, would a 3-lap Super Pole style qualifying work for RC? Then do double or triple mains, no bumps? Oh, that's tough.
So like 1 qualifier and then 3 mains?
So no, it would be a 3-lap Super Pole style. So you get 3 laps and that's your qualifying.
It's just like so I did see that and I thought about it. It's just like regular racing. They do send 3 guys out there, they run 3 laps, they take your best time out of your 3 laps, and that's how you set up for the heat races. So you run your 1 heat race, top 3 advance in. Whoever wins the race, let's say heat 1 will start inside second row or inside third row. Heat 2 inside second row. Heat 3 inside first row, and then so forth. And then everybody else has to run that didn't finish third and on has to run a B main, and then however many advance out of that.
Yeah, but he's saying no bumps. So where you start is where you start. I don't know.
I think there's a lot of cool formats that could work. And it just kind of depends on how, we want to do this. And I think kind of why we settled on the format we have now is it's fair for everybody. Like you pay your $20 or whatever, and we all get about the same amount of track time, barring bumps or like double AAA mains or something. But again, we go back to you're good and you get rewarded with more track time.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been doing I did the math on it. So I started racing in 1988 and entry fees were $10 back then, and there was a structure breakdown. Do you realize with inflation for club racing, we really should be paying $30 for our first class sign-in? And that I still don't see as unreasonable.
Well, you're paying $30 to go race at a facility all day. I mean, not all day, but like an evening.
Yeah. I still think it's reasonable, but nobody charges that much. I'm trying to get track owners to start that trend and charge him. Like Gary charges $10 a class. It's like, okay, I feel bad. It's like I'm not paying enough.
Well,
so
you're having trouble getting people spending $40 for a year, so I don't think.
Yeah,
I think an extra $5 or $10 a week is going to make it.
When Clayton, when Gary said he'd love that. What I was going to say is I joined Roar because of you and Clayton, because Well, not just because of you and Clayton, but also Brent Densford and everything you guys are doing. You're doing something.
Yeah.
You know, you're doing something and not just going to the A Scale Off-Road Nationals. And I think that's all they ever went to.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done in Roar, and I get, people are like, well, when is this going to happen? When is this going to happen? I'm like, I got two hands.
Yeah.
So many times in the day. You know what would be better? If I had your two hands and sometime in your day, but if you're right here, we could do some more stuff. And then
Yeah.
another person over here, and then Joe's in Minnesota with Joey and Jeff, and then we can all do something together. Like more people make less work so we can all enjoy this stuff. Huh, that's weird.
We need a Region 7 director, and I'm not the guy because I've discussed this before that I take things too personally, and I will not go to 2 Roar sanctioned tracks because of personal reasons. So I'm not the guy for that job. But Jeff Choban's the guy for that job, and I've told him that.
Jeff.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm the right person to be region director in mine, but I was the only person who signed up. So if I'm going to be the only person carrying the torch, I guess I'll keep doing it until somebody better shows up.
Right. So were you part of the Bruggy and Truggy discussion?
No, I do have an opinion on it though. I have raced 8-scale buggy and 8-scale truggy. I have not raced 7-scale buggy, unfortunately.
I have.
I have.
Oh, okay.
So go ahead. I hear you. So here's what I look at it as. I like that they're making a rule on it, and it's not a bad rule. But I like seeing everybody's opinion. Like there's opinions on both ways that are very valid.
We also don't know what the rules are. We just know there's going to be rules.
Yes. And the body's going to go over the shock tower from what I understand.
But what does that mean?
Well, Kyosho started this. Now, if you look at Kyosho's last truggy body, that wasn't a bruggy body. That ugly thing started because it was skirting those rules because they understood the Roar rules. They made that Kyosho they run the perfect gray line company. I remember one year at the Worlds, they had the only IFMAR legal wing. It was the most ridiculous thing ever. Because they know the rules. There are rules in place and they follow them. But it was this ugly, super narrow. It went over the shock tower, but man, it was about the size of a flock foil in the front. It was nasty looking. And then a year or two later, Tekno came out with the bruggy body, and then it snowballed.
But like, why? I don't understand. I think they should be different classes. I don't think.
No, they should
run one class. Like, it's faster, cool, but it should be different. Like, they shouldn't be the same thing. And did you listen to Keenan's podcast? With
I'm
what
sure
Matt said.
Yeah. Like go ahead.
Yeah, he suggested an 8-scale stadium truck, which I thought was kind of okay. Like, I don't have a dog in this fight anymore, but it's interesting seeing the different thoughts on it. And I think that something cool could happen and make it different and make it so that the rest of the world cares about 8-scale trucking, because most of the world doesn't give a shit about
no
the US.
No. Yeah, exactly. But, sorry, I had to bring that up before we ended because I was literally about ready to end it. But it's like, I'm curious about this one because I run 40 plus Nitro, which is a truggy. And then Joe 3 is getting out of Sportsman. He's out of Sportsman with Nitro Racing. Buggy is just. I know he's not going to win, and I know he's not going to make an A or a B, but that Buggy class is way too hard locally for him. You know what I mean? He needs the stepping stone of the Truggy. So he's going to be running a Truggy as well. Plus, well, also tires up front are more expensive, but they last way, way, way longer. So tires eventually end up being cheaper. Eventually. So, I don't know. We'll see. It's, for me, a scale. It's not my... I have two completely opposite favorite things to race. I love carpet off-road, and I love fifth scale. Everything else in between is a filler. It really is. Oval's a blast, but it's not my number one. But I don't know. It didn't hit me the same way that fifth scale hit me, but I do like it. All right, guys. Zach, I appreciate you for coming on, and we'll be seeing more of you. Hopefully we ain't scare you away. Yeah. I gotta get
me.
Huh?
It'd be mainly me scaring him away.
Yeah.
You said 3 words.
Huh?
You said 3 words. It's been Joe and I talking.
I know.
Well, we were waiting for you. I was waiting for you a couple times, and you're just like, oh, yeah, frickin'. Anyway, yeah, my bird's going nuts, and I gotta go jiu-jitsu at 6 a.m. So I'm Joe Jr., and with me was Joey Fitzsimmons and Zach Donathan, and we have ran out of talent. Have a good night, guys.